The crime that will be discussed in this video simply had to remain unsolved, and it really would have stayed that way if not for the wildly idiotic action of one of its participants. The story begins on January 23, 2004, in a suburb of Los Angeles, the small town of Pico Rivera. That day was quite calm for Sergeant Kevin Lloyd. He was doing routine street patrolling until he received information about a murder. He was the closest to the crime scene, so he arrived there first. The crime scene was the parking lot of a quite ordinary liquor store. Yes, it was already evening, and the place was lit only by Christmas lights left on the roof of the store from the holidays and a street lamp across the road. The victim was a 23-year-old man, John Juarez. He died from a bullet to the head. Before his death, the man was in a phone booth talking to his wife on the phone. Before the shot, his wife heard someone ask John, "Where are you from?" To which he replied, "None of your business." After that, John took a bullet to the head. One of the people who were in the store at the time confirmed that a young man of Latino appearance approached John. Then there was a shot, and the shooter ran to a car that immediately sped off. No one remembered the car's license plate. From this, it was only clear that there were at least two killers. One, the shooter. The second, the driver of the car they fled in. Overall, there weren't many leads in the case. John Juarez was an ordinary bus driver, had a wife and a 3-year-old daughter. Nothing indicated that the crime could be connected to his acquaintances. It looked more like either a botched robbery or, as they say, the man simply crossed paths with some local thugs. However, finding them was already practically impossible, and over time, the case, as police say, became a cold case. Over time, the same sergeant who was first at the scene of John Juarez's murder was promoted to lieutenant, and instead of a regular patrol officer, became a detective. In 2008, 4 years after the incident at the liquor store, now Detective Kevin Lloyd was investigating a rather ordinary robbery. He was sitting in the office, looking through photos of criminals in the police database. Suddenly, upon seeing the photo of one of the people, a clear picture from 4 years ago appeared in Detective Lloyd's mind. The liquor store, the lights on it, the pole across the road. The photo of one person sharply triggered those long-forgotten images. In front of Detective Lloyd was a photo of a man named Anthony Garcia. There was nothing serious on his record. Once, he was caught driving without a license. Any other person wouldn't have been photographed for the database for that. However, in Anthony Garcia's case, there was suspicion that he was part of the local Rivera 13 gang, so the police decided it wouldn't hurt to photograph him for the database. Rivera 13 is not a particularly famous gang. It has about 200 members, and the gang operates only in the aforementioned Los Angeles suburb, the town of Pico Rivera. As already mentioned, Anthony Garcia's photo triggered a huge number of flashbacks in Detective Lloyd's head. That same day, he got in his car and returned to the crime scene from 4 years ago, to the liquor store. After visiting there, he became even more convinced that Anthony Garcia was exactly the person who definitely knew many details about John Juarez's murder. The next day, Anthony Garcia was arrested. But of course, you're probably wondering, how did Detective Lloyd, after looking at Garcia's photo just once, realize he was involved in a crime from 4 years ago? Well, take a look yourself at Garcia's photo from the police database. I think a lot will become clear to you. You can call it whatever you want. Incredible, implausible, fantastical, but on Anthony Garcia's body, there was a tattoo that completely replicated the crime scene from 4 years earlier. On his chest was tattooed the same liquor store, and specifically with the garlands on the roof. Next to the store, the same street lamp, the same sign reading Rivera. The garlands on the store and that sign no longer existed in reality, but they were there back then, 4 years ago, at the scene of John Juarez's murder. In addition, the tattoo showed a helicopter shooting at peanut-shaped figures. What did this scene mean? Anthony Garcia's nickname was Chopper, which in American slang means helicopter, and a little man in the form of a peanut. That's how the Rivera 13 gang referred to members of rival gangs. This scene showed Chopper, aka Anthony Garcia, killing a peanut figure near the liquor store. In addition, on the guy's neck was the inscription, Rivera Kills. It was these tattoos listed above that gave Detective Lloyd the feeling that he had seen this somewhere before. Most likely, Garcia mistook Juarez for a member of another gang and killed him during the argument. Although in reality, Juarez was just an ordinary bus driver. Of course, the tattoo alone was not enough to bring the guy to trial. To obtain more solid evidence, the following was done in the case. As already mentioned, Garcia was arrested, but supposedly for suspicion in another minor crime, like shoplifting. He spent a couple of days in a cell at the station. There, they placed in the same cell with him someone who was supposedly also a member of the Rivera 13 gang. In reality, it was an undercover police officer wearing recording equipment. The officer managed to get Garcia talking. He started boasting about the murder of John Juarez 4 years earlier. This almost 100% guaranteed a guilty verdict. But that's not all. The police also managed to find the second person, the one who was driving the car that day, the car Garcia fled in. This was also a member of the Rivera 13 gang, Robert Armijo. At trial, he testified against Anthony Garcia, which also left Garcia with no chance of acquittal. The victim's wife and the mother of his daughter also spoke at the trial. She said, "Thank you for that stupid tattoo. I think without it, you would never have been caught. I can't say that I forgive you, because I don't." In the end, the result of the trial was 65 years in prison for Anthony Garcia and 20 years for Robert Armijo, the one who was driving the car that day. I don't even know what amazes me most in this story. How idiotic the idea was to get a tattoo that now costs you your entire life, or how incredible the coincidence of circumstances in this story is. Namely, that the same police officer was at the crime scene, and later a photo with a tattoo replicating the crime scene caught his eye. And what are the odds of that? Either way, it once again proves that even the most incredible story can be real.